First at 4, a Savannah family facing a long road to recovery. This after a fire forced them to run for their lives in the middle of the night.
Now they're opening up about the loss, survival, and what it means to care for their adult son in the aftermath. WSAV's Nakaya Harris has more.
For one Savannah family, life changed in the blink of an eye. A fire sent them running from their home with nothing but clothes on their backs. And today, they're telling us what it took to survive it and what's next. A late-night knock at the door quickly turned into a race to escape after flames broke out at the Campbell family's home on Saturday. They made it out safely, but with little time to grab anything, they're now facing the reality of starting over while continuing to care for their son, who is autistic, nonverbal, and relies on them for daily care. While the road ahead remains uncertain, the family says they are grateful they made it out alive.
I could still see God's glory in saving our lives, because he definitely sent an angel. That lady was supposed to get off work at 11:30, but she worked late. So I know that was God watching over us. You know, my brother is a coroner, and he could have been pulling us out of that house.
For the Campbell family, their focus is on recovery, and we'll have their GoFundMe link on our website at WSAV.com. They're asking for monetary donations during this critical time. Reporting in Savannah, Nakaya Harris, WSAV News 3, on your side.
One person is dead and another in the hospital after a house fire in Richmond Hill. Crews responded to the fire around 9:40 last night on Rushing Street. One person was found inside and did not survive. The second person was taken to the hospital for treatment. The cause of the fire under investigation. We will, of course, update you on air and online once we get additional information.
And early this morning, crews with Pooler Fire Rescue responded to a reported house fire in the 100 block of Reed Street. When firefighters arrived, they discovered the flames were actually coming from the backyard. That's where multiple recreational vehicles had actually caught fire, and those flames spread quickly and moving towards the fence line and the home. Crews actually had to deploy several hose lines to bring that fire under control and prevent it from spreading to nearby structures. Officials say dry conditions and heavy clutter in the yard actually helped that fire grow so rapidly.
And a fire is burning right now on Fort Stewart. That is where the soldiers train, and the Fort Stewart Forestry Division is monitoring the situation. Officials telling WSAV there are currently no impacts to staff or the buildings. They've also said they are not conducting any controlled burns right now because of drought conditions.
And crews are working to contain a large wildfire in South Georgia. The Pineland Road fire burning in County right now, we're told, is covering nearly 9,000 acres and is only 10% contained. Officials say crews are facing challenging drought and weather conditions. If you don't need to be in the area, definitely stay out. We're also told that flying a private drone over or near a wildfire is actually illegal, as well as being extremely dangerous. Smoke from that fire impacting people in Glynn County, as well as smoke from another large fire in Brantley County.
Now, these fires are a tough reminder for all of us. Want to make sure that we understand how quickly fires can spread, how they can escalate. And with drought conditions becoming worse across the state, no meaningful rainfall in sight, it really does not look, according to officials, much like a spark to turn into a wildfire and for that fire to spread fast. Of course, it could spread fast if the spark continues to spread. And right now, prevention is critical, and the Georgia Forestry Commission has some safety tips that you need to keep in mind. You'll want to avoid parking or driving on dry grass. Use outdoor equipment carefully. Never leave fires unattended. Follow all the burn restrictions and guidance. And there are several burn bans in effect that you need to know about right now. This is in Long and Bullock counties, as well as the entire state of South Carolina.
Pretty frightening moments this morning for one Beaufort County neighborhood. A domestic disturbance call led to an exchange of gunfire between officers and a suspect. We now know that suspect is 17-year-old Elijah Washington. And
WSAV's Danielle Cobb was the first reporter on scene. She has been there getting information throughout the day. She breaks down for us now what we know so far.
This street is much calmer than what it was earlier this morning when gunfire was ringing out in this neighborhood. It started as a domestic call that then led to an officer-involved shooting, bringing several agencies on scene, including the SWAT team and the FBI. Just before 5 a.m. this morning, the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office received the call about that disturbance on Wildcat Lane off Parker Drive. Shortly after deputies arrived, I'm told the suspect started shooting and deputies shot back. As the deputies called for backup, the suspect ran into the woods. That led to a multi-agency search, including local police, SCDNR, the FBI, and SLED. The suspect was eventually caught. Authorities say he was unarmed, but the weapon was later found in the backyard of the home.
There was no injuries reported, thankfully. None of our officers were injured. The suspect or anyone in the home was injured. We will be releasing more information later on because, of course, this is a developing case and also charges are still pending. And so we will be releasing more information later on.
The suspect is currently being held at the Beaufort County Detention Center on several pending charges. The deputies' names involved in the shooting have not been released. Danielle Cobb, WSAV News 3, on your side.
Washington has been charged with attempted murder, possession of weapons during a violent crime, unlawful possession of a weapon by a person under 18, and there are other charges that we will have for you on our website, WSAV.com.
We've now learned that one of the Georgia State Patrol troopers fired after allegedly being involved in a scheme to make money off pit maneuvers has a new job in law enforcement right in our area. Joseph Curley was a sergeant with GSP. According to the Georgia Department of Public Safety report, he found out last year that local troopers under his command were trying to get settlements with the insurance companies of suspects involved in pursuits. Now, the report says Curley not only didn't tell his superiors, he tried to seek out his own insurance claims. Ultimately, Curley and 3 other troopers were fired. We've now learned the Effingham County Sheriff's Office has hired Curley within the last 2 weeks. Curley has not been charged with a crime, but there is an investigation that is ongoing.
A scary situation for a Savannah man after a bobcat made itself at home under his shed. WSAV's Isley Herschel explains what you're supposed to do. This is if you're in a similar situation.
Tate Logan tells me he saw the paws of a bobcat trying to grab his dog right behind this shed right here.
Bobcats are native to our area. Still, Logan wants the animal removed from his property without hurting it. Even if he wanted to, it's illegal to shoot a bobcat outside of the months of December through February. After speaking with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, I found out there are a few options for removal. One option is letting it go on its own. Another option is removing anything that might attract the animal, like food or water, and adding things it won't like lights and loud noises. The last option the DNR gave is hiring a trapper to safely remove the animal.
I've never come into contact with a wild animal like that. I'm just not in the camp for hurting an animal unnecessarily, but we also don't have the means to trap an animal like this. I don't have any experience doing that.
If you see a bobcat out in the wild or even in a restaurant, the DNR says not to approach it. Make sure any pets and children are safe and make loud noises to try and scare it away. In Savannah, Isley Herschel, WSAV News 3, on your side.
And WSAV, your local election headquarters, Georgia State leaders preparing for the May primaries. Election leaders from across the state testing voting systems ahead of the early voting, which starts next Monday, runs all the way through May 15th. Remember, you can check your sample ballot, precinct location, and hours on the state's My Voter page website. And during early voting, you can vote at any location in your county. On Election Day, though, you have to go to your assigned precinct. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger says every legal vote will count and warns voter fraud could lead to serious penalties.
Counties are doing right now is they're going through their logic and accuracy testing. This is the process where they get all of the ballot styles assigned to the various components, to the touch screens, and they begin testing. They bring up every ballot style on the machine. They verify that every position on the ballot is receptive to a voter's selection. They produce ballots. They create test decks.
State leaders say a potential law change involving QR code tabulations this year will not impact the May primary or June runoffs. Now, for more information on the races, on the candidates, on the dates, both here in Georgia as well as South Carolina, just visit WSAV.com/electionhq.
Other election news now. A critical race that voters will soon decide is who will be the next school board president. We're talking Savannah Chatham County Public Schools. Last night, candidates discussed their vision for the school system. There are two names on the ballot: current board president Roger Moss, who was elected in 2022, and Dion Hoskins Brown, who served as the School District 2 representative for the past 14 years. The school board oversees 61 schools and programs, more than 5,000 employees, and 35,000 students. Monday night, they were asked where they stand on current policies, including bullying and student safety, and what would be their top priority if elected.
The role model for open communication and positive climate. I will be the cheerleader for inclusion and bringing joy back to this work.
We have to provide transportation for all of our kids because we have kids that are wanting to go to schools that they can't get to.
Now, the school board president election is May 19th, and you can see the entire town hall forum moderated by WSAV's Kim Gusby. Simply go to WSAV.com.